This is the Always Direct podcast, and we talk with movers and shakers of this world to learn about the ups and downs they went through to get where they are now. Let's get started with the show.
My name is John Rayan. I'm the host of the Always Direct podcast. And today we have a great guest on. His name is Kelsey. He is the owner of the hiredgunsolutions.com. He's an automation specialist. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Thanks for having me. I know,
Great.
like last week, we had a brief conversation. Well, it wasn't brief. We were on the phone for a couple of hours, if I recall. But we got to talking about automation and like kind of some of the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, first time I talked to you, never talked to you before, I felt like at the end of the conversation, we're long lost friends. We were talking for so much. I saw so much about so many different industries, and I could just tell right away that your knowledge of automation and turning businesses into a much easier process was quite astounding, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, I've spent. It's interesting because like my career has been a little bit. I wouldn't say colorful, but you know, when I graduated high school, I started delivering pizza at a Papa John's franchise. I got in a car accident and I needed to get a job, and so luckily, the GM at the store that I was at said that we needed shift leaders, and so I went and I got. Went to the little new, they have a new hire, like new manager training. It's like a month-long process where you go and you learn the ops manual and all the ins and outs of how the pizza place works from like a shift leader perspective. And so I got to play around with the software, understand how inventory works and how labor works and how all these different aspects kind of go hand in hand. But I had been going to school for technology at the time and parlayed into like my customer service experience, I guess, working into Papa John's. Answering the phone, upselling the shit out of some cheese sticks and some 2 liters, and making sure people get their extra larges. It parlayed me into a career that I had in a call center where I was, doing tech support in the beginning. But by the time I was done, which kind of feeds into my other background, it's a little bit weird, but I started designing call flows. So like when somebody answers the phone, and you have a kind of like a flow chart of like how you should field that phone call. And it reminded me of like when I was doing calls, answering the phone at the pizza place. You know, you greet the customer, you make sure that they're aware of anything you're trying to push. You know, you take their order, or get their phone number, take their order, make sure their address is right. And then you're going to upsell them on whatever they got and make sure that average ticket goes up, right?
Of course.
And so I started thinking about like how do you do that efficiently? And so when I got working in a call center, I started designing troubleshooting flows for high-speed internet. And that kind of prepped me for my career change into my last job that I will ever have, which was at a company called Infusionsoft, which is now Keep. And it's basically a CRM and a marketing automation software for business owners. So what that means is it's like a database where you store all your customers' information, what they've purchased, any notes and activities that you might have had, interactions with those customers, and basically the system that you use to market to them. So this is as simple as somebody filling out a contact us form on your website. In addition to them placing their first order, you're going to design all the emails, all the text messages that they're going to get, etc.
Well, so did you get majority of your learning experience through working at Infusionsoft?
I would say, so like it's weird because my first foray into automation was back when I was in high school, and I used to play a lot of computer games, and I hated, they call it grinding, where you have to go and do the same thing over and over and over again to get, in-game money or items or whatever experience. And so I got the botting, which is you write a script for your character to follow along and go kill this monster and pick up this item and do that forever until I tell it to stop, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was like my first experience into the like concepts of automation was all learned from botting a video game. And then I've just taken that kind of information and applied it to, the businesses that I was familiar with at the time, but also, I don't know, the thousands of different small business owners that I've talked to over the years, from real estate to chiropractic to lawyers to e-commerce, information marketers, all kinds of different small businesses, and the different principles that can be applied across the board.
So when you hear people say that I talk to a lot of people, and actually I had a guy in my office not too long ago, and they all say they know how to do what you're saying you do. But when you start asking them questions, they don't. I could tell that they have no idea how the things actually are going to connect. But when I talk to you, this is how you know that you actually mention and talk about all the intricacies and all the issues that are involved with, because it's so easy to talk a game, but the connections and having it work consistently and finding the flaws, and then if this, then that type of situation. Most people, 99% of the people in the world don't know anything about it. And the 1% of people who say they know what they're talking about, a lot of them don't know it enough to actually do a good job. Because, right? Am I right about that? Or would you agree with that?
I would say that, I mean, I'm kind of like a friend of mine calls me a polymath, where I've gotten really, really in depth with like lots of different areas of, in this case, technology, from the like marketing side of things to, I don't even know how to, at this point, it's like, I feel like I've forgotten more than I know. But at the same time, no, I definitely meet a lot of people. I would say a lot of people definitely in this space, they know they color within their lines, right? So like someone who's like an automation, guru for a specific industry, they may have done a lot of stuff and gone deep real hard into, say, law or how a law firm should operate, right?
Yeah.
But they've never done real estate, so they don't know how real estate works. Or they've never worked in a pizza place, and they don't think that the difference is there's a lot of differences and tricks that you gotta pick up naturally in your industry that could be applied elsewhere if the opportunity presented itself. And so, because I've worked with so many different small businesses and so many different pieces of software, a lot of stuff starts to blend over. Or I'll see opportunities, like a lot of times. I'll give you an example. This may not be relevant to pizza, but it's definitely relevant towards anybody that purchases their leads, or they're generating leads online through like Facebook ads. So, for example, like a lot of people in construction, they use like Service Magic, they use Home Advisor. There's a couple of other There's a couple of other websites out there that are like marketplaces for these services. Well, when an opportunity comes in through something like Home Advisor, that's going to get sent out to, say, the house painter, the other house painter, and then there's like a remodeling company, and then the interior decorator. They're all going to get that lead. And so it's up to you to be able to get to that lead as fast as possible. Well, one of those guys is just down the street, so he's physically going to drive over there and do a quote, because he's a little nimble. Maybe he's running his business out of his truck, and that's the guy you got to beat, right? The other guy, he's got maybe a system in place where that information, he's going to have a salesperson call him like within an hour, we'll call it. So how do you beat those people to the punch, if that makes sense? How do you get in touch with them faster? And so it's a breakdown of a couple of different concepts, right? So something like Home Advisor or Yelp is another good example. You get emails from Yelp. Well, that email needs to be processed by a person or by technology in order to get information out of it. So, for example, if Home Advisor sends us a lead, it's got a name, email address, a phone number. It's got like a description of what the person's looking for. So how do we get that information out of my email and into we'll call it our CRM, to assign it to one of my sales guys? So you can build a tool what's called an email parser. There's a variety of ways to do this, but an email parser will read an email, and it'll recognize, oh, this is where the name always is, and this is where the phone number always is. And it'll extract those pieces of information and then automatically put them into your system. So now we've kind of accelerated the time it takes from someone to copy and paste from an email into their system. So how do you go another step further? Well, the next step is to dial the phone for the salesperson. So I call it a hot lead call, where a brand new lead comes in, your phone rings, it tells you, hey, you just got a brand new house painting lead. And then all the salesperson has to do is press 1 to connect. So instead of, and that, now we're able to beat the guy that's down the street that's going to drive over there in terms of speed. We're going to be able to get in touch with him within, I would say, roughly 30 seconds to 60 seconds from when the moment that email is sent to the moment that the phone is ringing and you're on the phone with that prospect.
Yeah.
So you're reducing time. You're also reducing the error, because, let's say it's 11:55. Sales guy's got a lunch break at noon, That lead comes in. He's like, I'll call back when I get home from lunch. So now you're an hour and 5 minutes behind that 1 o'clock when he comes back in. And that's assuming that he gets right back to work. So this kind of bypasses that problem. And it also creates a bunch of different measurement points, because we got to think of, like, it's cool to build these tools to help you, but you also need to make sure that it's actually doing what you think it's going to do, or rather that if there's someone like a human being involved, that a ball isn't being dropped, right? So a good example in that scenario is, what if that salesperson went to the bathroom, their phone's not available, they missed that call. So we need to have a backup process for what happens when the call is missed. Like, we need to be able to recover those numbers, right?
Yeah.
But the most ideal scenario would be to answer the phone live and be on the phone with that prospect within seconds. And so you're able to accelerate that timeline. Well, like, this type of trick is real popular in real estate. It's real popular in some of these other industries where they're getting leads, and there's a lot of real competition. Insurance would be another example, because, like, a lot of insurance guys are buying leads instead of generating themselves, and they're dicking around with, like, checking their email, picking up their phone, typing in the phone number, copy and pasting stuff into their tool, and then, like, maybe they get in touch with that guy, for the person first. Maybe they are able to move that person effectively along the lines, but it's kind of like an interesting problem, because you can take each problem that a small business would have and break it down into a bunch of different little steps, and then you have to find the tech that does all the things. I just happen to have done a lot of different stuff, and so I like to borrow from one industry and bring it into another, and so forth.
Yeah, you're of course. I mean, that's how, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need to be able to collect information from a bunch of different industries that are not used simultaneously, and it's connect them. And that's how a lot of new businesses or new industries get developed. But I wanted to ask you about what you just said. So I remember when I was first looking at my first house, I filled out lendingtree.com, which was the biggest mistake of my life, because what happened? I got a million calls, and the first person who called me was the one who I answered. Everybody else, I just stopped answering. So you're absolutely right. The first person to get the call, to get the information and call automatically, is the one who wins. So now let's bring this back to the restaurant space. And the only reason I want to keep focusing on the restaurant space is because this podcast is pretty much focused for small businesses, specifically restaurants, but also we do gyms, dentists. But right now, primarily pizzerias are my main customers. And I don't care if you're talking about a Domino's, which is a huge chain, or you're talking about Joe's Pizza with the three people working in the back, and they're all family members. None of them using the technology that is out there properly to make it automated. Maybe Domino's is a bad example, because they're pretty high tech, but the food stinks. So let's just talk about 70% of the businesses out there in the restaurant space, specifically carry out delivery, pizzerias. It's so antiquated how we approach our marketing. And we talked a lot about how you would change it and how you would follow up with the customer through text messages, through emails, through Facebook ads, through you mentioned a lot of things, and then following up afterwards, saying, "Hey, how was your food? Can you send me a good review? Give me your ideas as to what you should do, what we could do to help other pizzerias really create a compelling marketing strategy that doesn't involve them manually doing everything and keeping up with it."
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that the first thing that stands out whenever you're looking at a business like a pizzeria,
sure,
is that oftentimes someone creates software to run their business, and then they start selling it to other business owners of that variety, right? So, or you have specialists where, like, they've created software specifically for running a pizza shop, right? It's got your schedule for your employees, it's got a payroll system, it's got accounting stuff, inventory management. It keeps track of all your customers and their orders. And there's all these different pieces of data that it collects, but it's oftentimes very operationally focused and very seldomly marketing focused. And so what I mean by that is, we had talked about the specific situation, because you talked about a strategy using direct mail to get new customers. And then, of course, if you're sending out a mailing to a specific, sorry about that, one sec.
No, don't worry. I'm a dog
if you're sending out a mailer to, like, say, a carrier route, right?
Sure.
Well, that carrier route may have existing customers on it that you're going to reactivate with that offer, and you're going to have new customers that maybe they just moved into the neighborhood. They've never even had an opportunity to order, and whatever. The idea is that once you get a customer and you're able to, this person has purchased food from you, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing I know about pizza is that your dollar amounts aren't, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000. They're, $25 to $50 on average for the order, I'd imagine. Or at least I look at my own pizza ordering, history, and I'm probably spending about $35 every time that I order, right?
Yes.
So now, if you think about how is it that we can increase that customer's lifetime value, right? We need to increase their average ticket, and we need to increase the frequency that they order. And ideally, we're playing a part in that, right? So if you look at what are the key time periods where we would want to make sure that we're following up and staying in touch with our customers in the pizza business. Well, we obviously have very specific situations like sporting events, holidays, their birthday, a variety of different key time periods throughout the year in which pizza may be ordered, right? And hell, it's Friday night, why not? So these are some time periods that I think are obvious where you could build your own, everybody in my database will get these offers on these time periods, right? So that would be the easiest way to start. So if you're collecting names and phone numbers, and if you have an online ordering capability, now you got name, email address, and phone number, right? Yeah. Which is kind of unique, where a lot of restaurants that I've interacted with, they know that I came in, I had a credit card, they swiped it. They may know my name, they may know my credit card number, we'll say last four, but they don't know my address. In order to get my address, they have to go through a lot of trouble to do that, right? In order to get my phone number, I would have had to have given it to them somehow, and it would have had to have been done in a smooth way. Well, in pizza, if someone calls to place an order, they're going to make an order online. They're giving you their phone number because that's how you're going to get in touch with them in the event that the delivery goes backwards, we'll call it, right?
Sure.
Their address is needed because you're going to deliver pizza to their house. And then their email address, if they're ordering online or they want to receive coupons online, it's very easy to get all the three big contact information points, right? So that allows you, the pizza shop owner, to be able to follow up with people on every single one of those channels. And then because you have their name or you have their email address and their phone number, that's where things like Facebook ads come into play, where instead of trying to run ads to get brand new customers, which might get very expensive, instead you can run ads targeting your existing customers. So if I were to say layer one of your marketing strategy from an automation perspective is to look at the key moments that that you can follow up with somebody and earn their business. So we'll just take the birthday as an example, because you're not doing a mass marketing. So let's take a step back. Obviously you have holidays and special events, and those are going to be kind of universal, where you and everybody else is going to be competing. So you might as well do it anyways, right? It's very easy to schedule, all my customers that are on my email list. I'm going to send out an email, the week before, holiday, Labor Day weekend, we'll call it, right?
Sure.
A day where you have a high probability of someone ordering pizza, or the Super Bowl, which I know is a huge pizza day, right?
Yeah.
So you got those built in, and you can set up automation in advance to schedule those emails and those if you're going to do text messaging, you're going to have that all go out. Well, the birthday gets a little bit more complex because not everybody's going to have the same birthday, right? So you might have a database of say 2,000 customers, and let's just spread it out evenly. Let's say it's 12 goes into 21. Someone's got, roughly you got 180 birthdays a month, right? Give or take. I don't know I didn't do the math properly in my head.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
180 birthdays a month, right? So if you have an offer for someone's birthday, and that might consist of, I don't know what would work in the pizza place. It's been a while, but let's just say it's a free cheese sticks or free side with your order, right? For your birthday, or maybe you have some dessert option that you can give them some offer to get them excited about their birthday, right? Well, it's their birthday for the entire month. So you don't necessarily have to email them on their birthday. You can email them leading up to their birthday and after. So if you were to think, okay, I want to email these guys with the birthday offer, and I want to hit them more than once. That's the objective, is to do it more than once and over more than one medium, right? So you could take all your birthdays for the month of, say, November, drop them into Facebook, and run a happy birthday promotion to those people. And you could do this every single month. And then you can take it another step further and send them an email leading up to their birthday, on their birthday, and the day after their birthday, if they didn't order, which would be that's the trickiest part, is that you stopping something if they order. So one of the other options, the things that we talked about, is that like there's ideal frequency for a customer ordering pizza, right? Like some people order once a week. Some people order maybe once a month. Some people order sporadically throughout the year for a variety of different reasons, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you measure that? So if somebody, like a easier example is going to be haircuts, right? Which is very similar. Like if I'm going to go get a haircut as a man, I'm probably going to need another haircut in 3 weeks, 4 weeks max, right? Otherwise, my hair is completely different and I'm drastically changing it. But in order to keep my haircut looking fresh, I need to get my haircut at no later than 3 weeks. So you have people that are going to have appointments. They already have orders set up. You have people that are going to be placing orders as a result of you reminding them. And then there are people that you don't see in a long time. So the idea is that if somebody goes, let's say 30 days without coming in or placing an order at the restaurant, that they're going to get a marketing message either via email, direct mail. They're going to get added to your Facebook retargeting campaign, or they're going to get, I said, email, phone number, email, text messaging, direct mail maybe, and even Facebook ads. Like all three of those things simultaneously start at the 30th day of them not placing an order. And then the idea would be that every time they place an order just resets that timer. And then you might even have more than one offer depending on, what happens, right? So if you think about it like this, you have a short window of opportunity to be able to reactivate a lost customer, we'll call it. And I would say, and you know better than me, but like if you were to take your current database and run a formula on it in a spreadsheet to find out what the average time between their orders, right? So like, let's say it's 65 days, right? The average time period between orders for your database is 65 days. So you know that approximately 65 days, every 65 days, someone should be ordering food from you. So you would schedule all your messages to go out. And then if someone restarts, then it would basically delay that timer that much more, right? So if we think about it from the perspective of maybe on the 65th day, I'll say 65, we start our campaign to reactivate them with the goal of getting them to come back in before, say, day 90, right? They're going to call, or they're going to place an order online, or they're going to come into the restaurant to do carryout order, right? One of those things we want to have happen. So once they go beyond that standpoint, right, you can have additional offers roll onto them, or you can just add them to your general marketing list, which would be similar to the list that you're using for doing your broadcasts, new customer acquisition mailings, right? And so that's one example is those folks. But it can get even more specific, because you might have one customer that places an order every 2 weeks, and he's buying a small pizza and a 20-ounce soda, and his order is like $16 or something like that. Or you have the family that used to place a bunch of orders. They're spending $75 a week or more, right? They have 5 kids. They got friends that come over every Friday. They're placing big pizza orders. And all of a sudden this person stops. You might want to have a filter on it. So instead of every customer that you've ever interacted with, I want to find people that have an order frequency over this much, right? Or I want to find people that have an average dollar amount spent this much, because that will help you understand, like, maybe you don't send the direct mail to the guy that only orders every 2 weeks and spends $15, but the family that was dropping $100 a week at your restaurant, that person's worth following up with. That person might even be worth calling to find out what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And so because we have now doing this is a lot. It sounds easy. Well,
no, it does not. It does not sound easy at all.
It's definitely the first thing that you need to make sure. And this is something that, like, when you're evaluating software for your business, and you mentioned you were talking to a bunch of POS companies. Well, I need to be able to tap into when an order is placed. I want to know every time an order is placed. I want to be able to use that as a mechanism for setting in motion this machine, right? Because just their order being placed, we get the day, the dollar amount, maybe their line items, who knows? But we need to be able to tap into that machine to be able to make it work with other tools that are maybe something that these guys never considered doing. They don't have the budget to do it, or they don't have the quote unquote demand. I think that if the stuff that we're talking about was universal, then the demand would be created. But I think there's a lot of business owners out there that don't even know that this stuff is possible. And that's where I would start. So like if I was looking at any solution, I would not want something that is physically stored on a computer in my building, right? Like no servers, no bullshit.
Yeah, you want cloud-based.
Preferably, right? Now, there's a trade-off with that in your business is what if your internet goes down? Then you're like kind of stuck. So it needs to be able to function in a catastrophic situation, we'll call it.
Well, if the internet goes down, I mean, even if you have the servers on the inside, it's still a pain in the butt that you can't accept credit cards. Everything's messed up. So why does that make a difference for? I mean, they're both terrible. Why is it? Yeah, because when the internet goes down, it's only for a day, half a day, an hour. It's never for more than that.
Yeah. So the reason I was saying it is that I know that it was a problem when I worked in pizza 20 years ago. That I would imagine that the workflow that you go through when your internet goes down is pretty bad. But like, because back in the day, it was the phones were the only thing that mattered, like the phone lines. Yeah. I think they had 7 lines that would run into the store, and you had a phone switch, and that your phones were not. It was not the internet basically, and so your credit card machine relied on the phones. It had like a direct line, and it would be a modem that would call out and do whatever its authentication would happen right there. So I'll just say that ideally, I'd imagine that your internet situation is sorted. So let's just pretend it's not a problem. But the reason why the cloud is better is because it's a lot easier for cloud applications to interact with other cloud applications. More specifically, the easiest way to do any of this stuff is with a tool called Zapier. And it's a relatively low cost tool that will interact with, they have at this point over 1,000 different kinds of software that you can build, right? And you can build workflows like what we're talking about, where if someone places an order for pizza, I need to, add them to my email newsletter. I want to send them a text message. I want to do this. So all this stuff, some of these things may just be built in inherently to your POS, but I'd imagine that there are definitely things that are not built in that you may want to be doing, like the Facebook retargeting, because those things can all be automated. And it's just a matter of using those moments where an order being placed, a new customer being added to the system. If you have an online shopping cart, there's usually an account creation process, right? So they're going to give you their name and their password so that they can come back and place an order at another time, right? Maybe store their order history or different things like that.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is those interesting moments can be built into your email marketing tool. Ideally, your email marketing tool has the same kind of capabilities. It can be built into text messaging tools, or there are actual suites of software that you could wrap around your POS if your POS does not have this functionality natively.
It's very, 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 very interesting. Let me tell you, I was just listening, letting you go through the whole thing. But as a pizzeria expert, I consider myself an operating expert. I've built a bunch of I've built over 9 restaurants, and they've all been successful, thank God. And one of the things that I always wished was a way to get my marketing down to a science, because really social media doesn't work for pizzerias for some reason, because here was my theory why. First of all, are you a Facebook specialist?
No.
Okay, but you know a lot about it.
I know enough about it to I don't go in. I could do it, but I don't write copy. So I'm not a creative person.
Sure.
In terms of, my creativity does not come out in visual or written word, if that makes sense.
Well, there's plenty of people to do that, but you know how to put it all together though.
Yeah.
So one of the things, one of my theories was, and I never was really able to prove it, was that people, when they go online, they don't save an ad. They just scroll through it, delete it, or just, it's a new email. They look at it, or they don't look at it, and they move on. Or if they see a banner ad, or if they're flipping through Instagram and they see your product, they may say, "Oh, it's like a billboard." Yeah, they may recognize it. They may subconsciously see it. They may like it even, but they're not going to or say, oh, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to get this right now, because it's not something you order right away. It's something you think about later on. And when you get hungry, you think about it. So it does have a value in the sense that it creates a brand awareness. But the real reason why I love direct mail, and even though it's old school, and why I really push it, is because everybody goes to their mail, because you have to. And then when you have a good product, a good menu, they'll put it in the drawer, and they'll keep it for the coupons, and they'll keep it because when they're ready to order, they don't want to go online and look at the menu online. Not everybody does this, but a lot of people do this. And I'm talking even millennials like to have a physical menu. I don't think it applies to most industries, but in the restaurant, pizzeria, delivery business, Chinese food, pizza, I think it's still one of the best ways to get orders. However, it's an expensive approach. Okay. So I always said to myself, I did create a system that, and I work with Steve Gum on it. He's a great friend of mine, and I work with him. He's a technology guy. We created a system where we were using Facebook Messenger. First of all, we were sending out a Facebook ad for an aggressive offer. Somebody would grab the offer. We would require information to come in, like give us your phone number, email. We'll give you a special coupon. You got to redeem it. When you go and get it redeemed, somebody at the restaurant would have to click on it to redeem it. Then the owner would get a text message saying it got redeemed. Then after that, we have all their information. We got an order out of them, and that we can Facebook audience, text messages, Facebook Messenger, email, and follow them in that way. But just like you and I said, we realized a lot of people just don't like Facebook Messenger. They just do not want to deal with that. And Facebook Messenger is part of Facebook, and they can change the algorithms at any time. Right or wrong? Hello?
Absolutely. Facebook Messenger, like it was the Wild West for a while. They just let you do whatever you wanted with it.
Yeah.
And like they've since cracked down significantly on what you can and can't do with Messenger, and how frequently you have to be able to stay in touch with somebody, and you have a limited time window where you can actually get in front of them. And so it has a limited shelf life, in my opinion, compared to your, comparison. If you have a door hanger or direct mail and it's a good offer, they're going to save it, right? They're going to save it until the next time they place an order. And then they're going to try to redeem a coupon code that maybe, like I think you had said, you do a mailing and you're getting coupon code redemption for, a year or two later.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example. So always direct mail. This flyer, I wasn't this flyer, but a flyer like this. Last year I sent out about 30,000 of them. I just got a call 2 days ago. I was on Friday, from a guy who said he got a flyer, and everyone's a little unique. I said, "Can you read me what it says on the bottom?" He read it to me. I sent that one, and I think it was 13 months ago, and he just called me first time. I don't know where he puts it, but everybody has a drawer full of things that they're going to call me later on, food specifically. Do you have one of those? Well, you're in a different situation, but when you were living in the house, did you have one?
No, I think my wife put stuff on the fridge.
On the fridge.
But yeah. But I'm not. I'm an online order, so like I know for sure that I've gotten Facebook ads for Domino's, and that I've placed an ad or placed an order as a result of seeing the ad. Right.
You have
either because it was direct. Yeah, I mean we're talking like over the course of years, but either directly because I clicked the ad, I went online, placed an order, and ordered a pizza. Right. I've also responded to emails that have come from Domino's because they send a lot of offers via email. And then I've also placed an order later that day because I saw an ad, right? So I saw, pizza, and maybe it's lunch, I missed the window, but maybe I'm hungry for pizza and I'm going to order it that night, right?
Yeah.
And it's usually that's like a memory hole type of thing where you're kind of reminding them, oh yeah, we exist.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ideal type of software, and you can build this apparently, would be, well, see, you know what? One of the problems with the pizza industry, well, I think it's one of the biggest problems for me, is I hated creating new offers. So like we'd always have the same type of offers: free 6-pack of soda, free cheesy garlic bread, family combo, raise number 1, raise number 2, raise number 3. And the reason why we didn't like to change the offers is because when you change an offer, now you change the offer, you have to have restrictions. You have to go into the POS system and change everything in the POS system to make sure that it can't be cheated. and then you have to tell everybody how to use it. Then you have to create a coupon code, and then you have to start marketing it. So it's not like you could just easily do it. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
So if there's an easier way to do that, that would be ideal. But also, so let's just say a customer comes in and places an order. So you got an order in, you can easily set up a thing so that they can get an email within a week, a text within 3 weeks, a phone call or Facebook ad. I'm sorry, a Facebook ad, and then we can send off a one-off postcard to them if they haven't ordered in 45 days. We can send them a menu if after 6 months, just because we want to give them an updated menu, and we can on a birthday we can send them a happy birthday text message. And a new movers postcard. Anybody who moves into the area, we can send them a new movers postcard. Say, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's a free pie. We can send them catering menus or catering emails or catering display ads around graduation time and holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can send them a request to get reviews. And I wrote down a lot of stuff while you were talking. So we can send them a request to get us positive reviews or contact the manager if there's an issue. We can have a QR code on the physical items that we like postcard and menus in order to get them to go to our website instead of calling it in because it's easier. And then and plus when they get an order, we can have an automatic phone call or text message to ask how the food was and to rate us. And lastly, if they order from a third party, and I wrote this down because I thought maybe you could do this. If they order from a third party, we click a button on our POS, and that person, then we start bombarding them to order on our website automatically. They'll get a postcard and a menu or a postcard every week until they order online, and then it'll get stopped.
Yeah. I mean, those things, those are all doable for sure. I mean, it's the biggest contingency that you're going to have is POS related, but like, in other businesses, they don't have the constraint of the POS. Right. So like an attorney's not using a point of sale system to be running their business. They don't have inventory. They don't run their schedules through it. They don't have labor to the same degree that a restaurant might have. They also don't have the order frequency that you guys have. Right. Like a lot of it, depending on a bankruptcy attorney. Right. Like what's the odds of repeat business for a bankruptcy attorney? Ideally,
hopefully none.
Yeah,
one and that's it.
Some people are unfortunate to have to do it more than once, but let's just say that a bankruptcy attorney isn't going to do repeat business very often. Their referral game might be on point, but like ideally it's the kind of situation where they don't need to do all this follow up on the orders. Right. But in a pizza business, it's all about reorders, and it's all about, because especially if you're going to make the investment to try to get a new customer in the first place, like ideally you're going to extract a certain amount of money out of them, right? So like if okay, my average customer is worth $700, then it makes it easy to justify the cost of a direct mail piece, because that one direct mail piece costs you ideally as close under $1, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know what the price point is on a printout for a mailer.
Well,
but like
50 cents, let's say between 30 cents and 50 cents.
Yeah, to get something in front of somebody's house. Okay. So it makes sense because that lifetime customer value. And if okay, I got this machine where like I can increase my lifetime customer value from $700 to $1,500 or whatever that amount is, then it makes it even more of an incentive to do this stuff, right? So all the stuff that we're talking about is just getting repeat orders, right? Now we haven't gotten into some of the crazier shit.
Tell me.
You're familiar with, anyone who's listening to this right now, we're, excuse the language, we're balls deep in an election. So there's about to be an election on November 3rd, and political data is particularly interesting. And the reason being is they have the IP address, they have the cookies, they have all the shit about every single person in a city. They know that they can go and plop a person down to physically go door to door, Republican, Democrat, independent, libertarian, whatever. So like that information, there are vendors that sell that information, right? So what I mean by that is if I go to your website, like Google will tell you with Google Analytics that somebody in Gilbert, Arizona went to the website. Well, that's nice, but it doesn't tell me who. With that website visit, you can know, you can pixel them with Facebook and pixel them with Google, and you can retarget
by pixelating. You mean retargeting them by putting a cookie in their computer, right?
Yeah, cookie on their device. And in Facebook is a little bit better because they know what the phone is and they know what the computer is and they know the iPad and they probably know that person's work, right? So like that kind of data is that's a pretty, we'll call it at this point, standardized type of thing in 2020.
Sure.
That kind of campaign is standard. But the elections, the politics has figured it out a little bit more. Where like maybe I want to see someone comes to my website, I want to know their address, right? I want to be able to send that.
Can you do that?
You won't know their address, but you will know that. So like there's a company specifically, they use a Ford dealership as an example. So someone goes to their website, they're fucking around looking at Mustangs, and then they disappear, right? The car dealership, because the purchase decision for a car is usually like 2 years, right? It's a long purchase decision. Is it? Yeah. In a car dealership, car business, a lot of these guys are looking at like, I mean, I just think about my own purchase. Like I bought a new Silverado back in January, right? Well, I've been thinking about buying a Silverado for fucking 3 years. You know, go to the Chevy website, fantasizing about owning a Silverado, looking at all the options, fucking around. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like we're talking I probably looked at, I don't know, I spent probably 10, 15 hours between all the stuff that I've done. But what I'm trying to say is I go to a dealership, I'm fucking around looking at the Mustangs. Well, there's a marketing campaign that will say, hey, someone's on the website, they fucked around looking at Mustangs. Let's send them the Mustang postcard without them giving you any information. They just visited your website and looked at a specific
thing. Yeah, but how do they know where you are?
Because the data game, the politics data game has been spread out throughout the remainder of the world, right? Or at least in the United States, right? So they know that this IP address is this address. So when I go to a website,
no shit.
Yeah, for sure.
And how much is it expensive to get that?
It can be depending on your industry, right?
Wow.
It also depends on there's a lot of factors involved in that, right? So there's a company specifically. There's the company that comes to my mind, and I don't know if it's priced appropriately. We were doing it for chiropractic, but like a chiropractic package, you know, a treatment plan is gonna be like $3,500 to $5,000, right? So the extra expense makes sense. But I know that you can run a campaign for approximately $1,500 a month, right? So the service is called El Toro. And basically what you can do is you can run a campaign that if someone visits your website, that you can send them direct mail. So only website visitors. Something that you would not have, like, and ideally you're smart about it. We're like, I want to only send postcards to people that go to my website that are not in my database, that have never placed an order, and I have no idea who they are. I only want to send it to those people. Because now you have someone on your website.
And not only that, but you can even specifically click on, you can actually check what part of the website they were on. If they're on direct mail only, if they're on the printing side, if they're on the digital side, you can send them something specifically to that sector of your business.
Correct.
Wow.
So
like dude. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but that is freaking nuts. That is freaking nuts.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can get real specific. Like the example that I was given is the guy was fucking around looking at Mustang. He was on the Ford website, fucking around looking at Mustangs, but he was looking at red Mustangs. So the postcard that he gets is to come down and do a test drive of a red Mustang. So like you could get that specific with, if you have that many variations in your stuff.
Wow.
Like
forget about PSA. This is more for something like a large purchase products, like, you know, like $20,000 items. But still, I mean, the fact that they can do that right now, I mean, that sounds like something that's going to get illegal. It become illegal one day because it should be. Right. You've heard of the company. It should be, honestly. You know, the company Plantier. It just went public.
I'm not familiar. I don't think.
Okay, it just went public. It's called Plantier. I actually bought some of it, but the reason why I bought some of it is because some of the big names behind it is all big data. It's all about mining data and creating value for huge companies who want the data in order to continue to infiltrate our lives with the stuff that you're talking about. But listen, if you want to get good at something, if you want to be the best, you got to use it. Otherwise, you just can't keep up.
No, you won't be able to at some point. Because like the way I look at it is this, right? I mean, COVID kind of revealed this. a little bit more than normal, because you got to think about it like this, right? I mean, you mentioned when we were talking that people stop placing orders in person. They stop coming in, they stop picking up. They might be calling in, placing orders still, but like Grubhub and these Uber Eats and Postmates and all these third-party delivery systems, right? And food ordering mechanism. Those things have changed the game, right? You mentioned that they're a pain in the ass to deal with, a variety of different things, but COVID-19 has basically eliminated the need for you to have a storefront. I mean, in my opinion, what we'll probably be looking at in the next 10 years is malls are gone. Most retail shopping is gone. And restaurants will still exist because there's an experience attached to them. But like having an expensive piece of real estate next to an anchor store, like a grocery store or some fancy ass building, that shit's gone. Like the way I look at it is you're going to be in an industrial park, you're going to have a fucking pizza oven, and nobody even knows where you are because 100% of your orders are delivery only, right? And it's either through a third party or it's through your own drivers.
Kelsey, do you know that that's already happening right now? That exists?
I figured it was, yeah.
Yeah. They have ghost kitchens everywhere now. They tried so hard to get me on it. And I actually just got a voicemail from another ghost kitchen, but the founder of Uber is a huge investor in ghost kitchens. What's his name? The guy who got kicked out? I forget his name. But whatever.
I didn't know that there was a company starting a ghost company where they provide you the ghost company. All you have to do is come up with the food.
Yeah. So they're buying, I think, warehouses, and they're providing you with all these stoves and ovens and whatever materials you need besides the smallwares. They're like, well, they'll provide you with whatever they have, and then you just bring the food in, and it's all delivery, no carry out, no pickup.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, that's how. I mean, if you think about how many malls are gone now.
Man, in my area, there's only one or two good malls. I mean, I'm in Illinois, so I'm in Chicagoland area. So this is a very densely populated area. So we have a couple of maybe 2 to 3 good malls. The rest of them, ghost towns. Let me tell you a funny story. Last year. I went to, so the really busy mall around here is Woodfield, but there's always a long line to go see Santa. So I have 3 daughters and my wife. We went to the Dead Mall because we know there's not going to be anybody there, and Santa's going to be there, which is so sad, but it's true. But while we were waiting, my wife waited in line, and I took the kids to this thing in the middle of the mall on the main level. Okay, you can rent this. It looks like a teddy bear on wheels. Okay, it's a huge teddy bear on wheels. So you sit on top of it. I sat on top of it. I'm 250 pounds. My kids got one each. So we had 4 of them, and we're riding through the mall.
Yeah. No,
do you understand what I'm saying? That's how dead it was. It was so sad.
You could be driving around in a go-kart inside the mall.
Yeah, man, it's crazy what's happened because of Amazon and online ordering. But I don't see how it's ever going to stop.
I don't think it's going to stop. And that's where between, like, if you think about the acceleration, and this is probably a little bit disconnected from where originally.
Well, let's talk about whatever we want. Keep going.
The accelerationism of how many brands are dead now because they couldn't adapt to the changing marketplace. And then when something like COVID came out and just fucked up everything for everybody, like movie theaters, I was just reading like all these movie theaters are going to be closed. Like nobody goes to the fucking movies anymore. Like, why would I pay $75 to take my family to the movies when I could just rent some shit on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Disney Plus, you name it, and I could just buy food from wherever I want and have it delivered to my house, and I don't have to do shit other than just spend the money, right?
I know.
And like, so you have this convenience thing taking place, and if you remember back, Back to Future 2. When like the delivery guy they brought the pizza and it was a little baggy, and they put it in their like humidifier or some shit, and it comes out, it's a Pizza Hut pizza. Like that's the kind of shit that they were fantasizing about back then, but like now it's just being made and delivered to you, and you can do it all from like a couple taps on your phone, right? And so I think the idea that we had coming through is like, to order food on Postmates, Uber Eats, blah, 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 they provide the mechanism that people are going to do that. But like, if you're sending a timely text message or an email, or someone sees a Facebook ad It'd be easier to do with email and text message. There's no reason why you wouldn't be able to say, hey, the last time you were here, you ordered 2 large pepperonis, a 2-liter soda, and some cheese sticks. You would would you like, want to place an order? And then all they have to say is yes. Okay, great. We can charge the card on file. Is that all right? Cool. And then you're sending them a pizza, right? So you experiment with that. You would just need to have a timely sent out broadcast message, and you'd need a system to be able to run their credit cards. Ideally, you have the ability to charge a card on file, which I don't think a lot of POSs don't have that capability, or, especially in your business, they're not enabling that.
Well, yeah, but because of some law.
Well, I mean, you got subscription businesses.
Yeah, but no, I don't know why there's a law that that we cannot, the POS systems can save the credit cards.
You don't store the credit card. So like the way that they work is they don't actually store the credit card. Instead, they're storing a token that represents the credit card. But the credit card company, I don't know how it is, and it's been a long time since I've dealt with a locally focused. So when I mentioned El Toro, I know that is available for a dealership, right? I don't know if they serve the market that we're talking about, pizza shops, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was something similar, or they have an offering for the restaurant industry. What I'm trying to say is that when I place an order online and I'm buying through Stripe, which is a common merchant gateway for small businesses.
I use them.
Right. So Stripe has a memory thing where if it recognizes you, all you have to do is give it your CVC code on the back of your card and it'll work. You don't have to type in a credit card. You don't have to do shit. So the merchant the merchant isn't storing the credit card. Stripe is. But what the merchant is doing is they're using Stripe's tools to be able to recognize that person to make it so that their order is easy. So we're talking their billing credit card, their billing information, their name, their phone number, their email address, all this shit is Stripe has it, right? So you don't have to store it. You just have to store that they did business with me. The ID for that order is X23759, and I want to charge that credit card number again for this much money. You have the mechanism through, we'll call it the text message, and that's how that would work, right? So you're eliminating all the choice, which is where I order on Domino's and I think about their online ordering system where they got a picture of a pizza and you add pepperonis, and now the pepperoni has pizza has pepperonis on it. All this shit, it's complex and it's hard to do from a phone, right? So instead of I always order pepperoni pizza. Every time I order pizzas, there's always going to be pepperoni in there. And then there's usually another pizza that's half cheese for my kid, right? And it's usually something a little bit more wild. Let's say 2 or 3 toppings. Not super crazy, but we'll just say that that's the situation. Well, I've ordered 100 pepperoni pizzas in the lifetime that I've been ordering from Domino's or whatever that is, that they could just send me a thing. It's Thursday night. You want to place an order for pizza, right? Do you want the thing you ordered last time? Cool. And then you're just taking their order. You don't necessarily have to do it all over text message like we talked about bots with Messenger, but you could send them a text message where it's timely. You understand who they are, and then allow them to just place an order with a couple of taps at the most, maybe a swipe, right? And now you've gotten an order placed online. It's easier than using Uber Eats, in my opinion.
It's amazing, and it could work. I don't know. I guess I can't get out of my own head and say that I never really order the same thing. I mean, sometimes I get pepperoni, sometimes I get sausage. A lot of people switch it up.
Always
you order pepper. So it would work well for you. And then when you send a text, where does it go?
What do you mean?
So the customer says yes. Then who's answering it? Is it going to the POS system and placing an order, or is it going to a tablet, or how do they get it? Just hypothetically.
It depends. So in systems like what we're describing that I've built that are similar, right? They're non-POS driven. So the first mystery that has to be solved is the POS that is cloud-based that can do the shit that I'm talking about. Meaning it has APIs. Ideally, it works with Zapier, because then it would be really inexpensive for you to try this stuff. Now, you have another database that can be easily created using a tool called Airtable. It's really easy and inexpensive for a normal person to be able to set up a database that can keep track of this person has ordered this person ordered. It's supplementary to what your POS will provide you, but your POS is used for making business decisions, and this is used for marketing, right? So this is just let's think of it as a replication of your current database. And the reason being is we can tap into it a little bit differently using the tools that I mentioned to be able to trigger that initiation. Now, when somebody replies to a text message, which is the scenario that we're describing, with yes, the easiest way to build a interaction with that person that's not manual is through a service called Twilio, which is primarily what a lot of text messaging software, if you have text messaging involved with a tool that you use, is probably sent via Twilio. So Twilio is anyone can sign up and use their service, and they have a tool called Twilio Studio. It's a little bit technical, so I'm not expecting anyone to go out and do this, but I'm just telling you how easy it is and how inexpensive it is. So Twilio, it's $1 a month per phone number that you have. It's less than a penny per text message to be sent or received. And then you have a tool called Twilio Studio that lets you visually build what happens when you receive a text message. And so it costs you $1 and some change to fuck around and find this out, right? So you can set up a bot that when a text message comes into this phone number and they say yes, then I want it to send this message next, which might be a link to your website, for example. Or it might be, you might go a little bit crazier and have a more exotic bot, but there's no reason to do more than that, because think about it like this, right? Could you imagine trying to place an order via text message and you don't know all the parameters? Messenger is a little bit better, but it's still clunky. So instead you would bring them to your website, which you would have a lot easier time doing. Or let's say you had a mobile app, right? But that's a tall order for, I think, for, independent mom and pop pizza shop, right? They're not going to have a fucking app.
Well, it's not that they won't have an app. It's just that who the hell wants to download? Your phone is.
I don't want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to go to a website experience and then they know that it's me, right? You know that it's this person. They clicked on the link in this phone. This link that I sent to this person is unique. So when they click it, I know that it's Kelsey Bratcher clicking the link. And Kelsey Bratcher's on my website right now. And I should probably show him some shit that he bought last time.
And you can do that easily?
Well, we're getting more and more complex as we continue to talk about this, but it is easy enough that I think that someone like you who has multiple restaurants could probably swing the cost that would be involved if you could prove the concept. So to test the concept, what I would do is I would just have the text message go out 30 minutes before dinner time or dinner rush, right? Hey, it's been a while since we've seen you. You like to place an order, and they say yes. Hey, do you want the last thing you ordered? And then maybe you don't even have to do that. You just send them a text message and ask them if they want to place an order for today's special, which is blankety blankety blank. So you're eliminating all the variables, like of all the different crazy shit. It's just an offer. And if they say yes, then you call them and ask them what the fuck they want. That's how you test it. And then you can prove the concept of, wow, I can send text messages, I can have conversations, and I can sell pizza. Then there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do that online. Then you can then you're like, okay, I know I can get this to work. So how do we make it better? Well, I need to make an online ordering mechanism that creates unique links that lets people buy with a tap or two, because Stripe's involved.
Yeah, right? But you need to get people to sign up for text. You can't just text them randomly, because you can get away with it for a while, but eventually you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah. I'm talking about you build your shit so that if they give you their phone number, they're giving you permission.
Yeah. Can you automatically do that when they go online and place an order? Just have
a phone field that has a checkbox next to it that says it's pre-checked. That says, I give you my phone. Now, don't get me, every state is different. There are federal laws that you have to.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about dancing around those. I'm talking about responsibly doing permission-based marketing.
Absolutely. Of course.
Unless it comes to direct mail, and then do whatever the fuck you want. As long as it's not, you know what I mean? There's no rules about how much mail you can send somebody.
Well, you won't believe how many times we send mail and customers will call up and be like, excuse me, sir, can you please stop sending us your menu? And we're like, excuse me, how are we going to stop sending? You're part of a list. If you don't like it, just throw it away, just like everything else. You call everybody who sends you stuff you don't want. And it's kind of a strange call, right? It's a strange call. So how do you like QR codes when it comes to physical mail? Because QR codes, getting people to go physical to digital, to get them on the website real easily. Do you promote that?
Originally when QR codes came out and they said it's going to change the world and all this shit, that was back when you had to download a special app to read the QR code, and then it was a tall order to expect someone to do it. Only like a fanatic would, like a nerd would have a QR reader on their phone, right?
Yeah.
But like, my iPhone, if I have my camera, like you just tell them use your camera on me, because like if someone's never done a QR code, you would need to tell them what they need to do. Get out your phone, do this, and then you would be able to identify that interaction has taken place, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of it in terms of being able to, because it's a hell of a lot easier than typing in a web address, right?
Yeah.
But like
Absolutely.
typically the best response on phone is phone numbers. Phone numbers on a flyer. If you're doing direct mail, phone response is the best one, right?
Yeah, well, of course, that's going to be a phone number on there. But you know what? These days, these young millennials, they don't like to talk to people.
Nope.
They don't like talking to people at all. They don't want to. They don't know how to have conversations, or they don't want to talk to people. They just want to go online, figure it out. Even my wife. I mean, my wife was born in 1990. She will not call to order pizza. She will just go online. If they don't have an online ordering, she just won't order from them.
Yeah, no, you're talking about the truth. I mean, I'm a millennial technically. I'm 36. I'm at the very cusp of it. So I'm somewhere in between millennial and whatever the other generation is that no one ever talks about. And I still talk on the phone, but I also sell for a living. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, and then when I order pizza, I always call in. But because it's always like, I'll tell you what's reassuring as fuck about pizza place is if I get upsold, right? Like if I call a place and they just like, hold on a second, they put me on the hold. I'm waiting for fucking 2 minutes. They answer the phone. They're like, yeah, how can I help you? And I'm like, yeah, I want to order pizza. They're like, hold on. And then like, can I get your phone number? And it's like this fucked up process. Like I like to be upsold, because then I know that somebody is paying attention to enough shit where the person that's answering the phone knows what the fuck they're doing, right?
They care.
And the upsell indicates that the person gives a shit enough about their job to do it well.
Yeah, they never upsell.
No. Well, like, have you ever gone to like you go to a restaurant and you have like a special experience? Like there's a guy that comes to my mind. I go to the Keg every now and then.
The what?
Like, the Keg. The Keg is a restaurant.
Right? Oh, the Keg. Got it.
Yeah, it's a chain, but it's a little bit nicer than normal, but nothing super fancy. And there's a particular waiter who is the most gangster waiter I've ever. I mean, that guy will fucking talk your shit up to $200, no problem. You know what I mean? And and he earns a $40 tip if he's getting 20%.
Yeah.
And so this guy kills it, he crushes it, and he's good at it. It's like he doesn't even. It's not even like he's doing a script. It's just so ingrained in who he is. Well, it's a pleasure because my drink's never empty, right? That's a sure sign that this guy gives a shit and that he's got his shit together enough. And so it's a high degree of confidence. And like that phone experience, like how many times you call a small business and let's just say it's a millennial answering the phone and don't like to talk on the phone and they don't know what the fuck they're doing and they're awkward. They sound like they're high. I guess would probably be the other.
They probably are.
High or drunk or both. And and now that's your frontline experience, right? So I mean, it's a little bit weird customer service wise, but like it taps into our other discussion, right? So like if somebody places an order, the next logical thing to do on top of marketing them is find out how the hell things are going, right? Because I know that Google reviews, Yelp reviews, all these review sites exist, and that they're kind of important, for a variety of reasons. People use these to find new stuff. On top of that, you got search engine optimization benefits of doing these things. But the problem is like, unless you have your shit together, like just randomly asking people to give you reviews is hazardous, because you might be inviting someone who's really pissed off to give you a review. So like the technique that people use to deflect is a survey that is a internal survey where it's like 1 to 5 stars. If someone gives you 5 stars, then it's not a huge ask to ask them to go and give you a Google review, especially if that person has a Gmail email address, right? It might be an ask if they're, Apple, they have a, what is it called? me.com email address. They may not have a Google account. So Google review is not the best place, best thing to ask them. But it goes even further is if this fucker called in off the Yelp phone, the number that you have in Yelp is a tracking number. Well, 100% of those phone orders are fucking from Yelp, right? So now you send them a Yelp review, but it's only after they've told you that they were happy. So it's kind of a gray area because like you're not getting an authentic review but you're also not bribing them for a review, right?
Well, technically you can't, because then that you could get flagged.
Yeah, you get in trouble for doing it. I'm not saying to bribe, but I'm trying to say that you find out if the customer's happy before you ask them to go give you a review that actually counts.
Exactly. So Kelsey, let me ask you a question. The biggest pain point. I mean, there's a million pain points in the restaurant industry. But the biggest pain point that a lot of my clients are going through, and myself and my franchisees and my corporate location, is the crack addiction that we have to third parties. Okay. And I call it a crack addiction is because they got us hook, line, and sinker, and we can't get away from them, and they're dominating the space. But if we don't go on it, those customers are not going to go to our website, because they're going to go on there, but because they have the credit card number, they have multiple addresses, they have multiple credit card numbers. So like if you're at home, they can use this one. If they're at the office, they can use a different, so it's like super, super, super easy. Plus the online ordering is beautiful. You can watch on Uber, you can watch the driver come up. You know exactly where they are. They've created an online ordering system that's really amazing. And then you go to these online ordering companies right now, and nobody seems to have it as easy as they do. So building an online ordering system for a POS for a website shouldn't be that difficult. Is it that difficult? Let me ask you.
It's not difficult anymore.
I mean, user friendliness, I'm saying.
Well, I'll say from like it's not difficult in other industries. I'll say that. So like, buying something online is not hard to do, and it's even easier to do on a phone oftentimes. Now, has that been applied to the pizza industry or the food industry correctly? Well, obviously it has by these Uber Eats and so forth, right? I mean, you download an app and you do some things with the app. Like you said, it makes it convenient. But there's no reason why you couldn't engineer a situation that does that. And it would be easy to capitalize on hard work that other people have already done. Now, the hard part would be for an individual like you to do it for only your customers, because it may get prohibitively expensive to get beyond a certain point where like all Uber Eats has to do is like, hey, if we change this around, we increase our order frequency by this. Cool. And then they have all this data that just shits out these tests, and there you go. Right. And then they're probably, they realize that if they fuck over the business owners too much, that they're going to run into a problem. Right. Because they need new businesses they need new businesses to come on to help their customers. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Now, the way that I think of it is you need to have something that would allow you to easily allow your customers to reorder from you, and then you need a mechanism for bridging them over, right? Like we talked about the ride-along concept where pizza, you got a box topper. Well, on the box top, I don't know what the offer needs to be able to get someone to convert from a third-party orderer to first-party orderer, but you definitely need mechanisms in place to make that easy. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, right? By order easier, I mean like you're getting in front of them before they think to even go to Uber Eats, right? That's where that preemptive text message comes in, preemptive emails. You're running ads on them before they're even hungry, or before they're even thinking about ordering. That's the trick. Because like I go to my sister is a habitual, Uber Eats order.
Yeah, you told me.
And she'll fuck around for 30 minutes arguing with her husband about what they need to order, right? Oh, we had fucking this last time. Oh, Chipotle, whatever. It's an ordeal to come up with it. You're helping them make a decision for them by preempting their decision to open the app. So that's your best bet, in my opinion, is to beat Uber at their own game, which is to hit them up before. Now, you can't do this every day, obviously, in every person, but the timeliness, you're doing a pattern interrupt, which will allow them to go. Now, if you make it hard for them to do the thing you want them to do, then they're not going to do it. They have to really fucking want your pizza if it's a pain in the ass to do it, right? So whatever needs to happen to make it easy for the pizza shop to have an online ordering experience it doesn't have to be as easy as Uber, but it needs to be easy enough where they go like, oh, a text message saying they got a special 2 large 1 toppings for whatever and fucking this. Yeah, I want it. It needs to be about that easy. right? I don't know I can't explain to you all the moving parts that have to do that in order to make it work with your POS and all this other shit. But that's the kind of experience that needs to happen in order for you to beat Uber Eats. It needs to be like a yes or no question and then maybe a couple of options. And that's basically what you're doing, is you're just giving them an offer for something that they have to just say yes or no to, as opposed to like, click on our order configurator and build the pizza that you want, the pizza of your dreams. And then, oh, do you want to add all the other shit? Like, that's, if I'm like searching you out, like I go and I Google, you know, Papa Ray's, and I go to your website and I'm like, oh, I want to look at the menu. Oh yeah, I want to order that. And then I'm going to like, I want to, you know, these toppings and these toppings. Oh, I need to get soda. Like, you can make a suggestive process for them to order. That's relatively easy for an online ordering. We'll say online ordering perspective, like if you were selling shoes, or like if you had a Shopify store, right? It would be easy to build that experience. But we're talking about like interrupting whatever the fuck they're doing to give them an offer, and then make it stupid easy for them to claim the offer. Like that's what you need to do in order to beat Uber Eats.
You know what? You're damn right. But you know what? There's another part to this. And one of the best parts for restaurant owners, for pizzeria owners, for any type of business that are small business, is sometimes you got to do the non-scalable stuff. You got to call up the customer yourself. You got to send them a video of you saying thank you for your order. You got to send them a handwritten letter. You got to send them something or talk to them yourself that's not scalable. Because if the owner called the Grubhub customers after about an hour and said, hey, by the way, how many Grubhub orders you get a day? Maybe 15, 20? If you called 5 a day and just say, hey, Joe, I just want to check on the pizza. I hope it was great. Me and my family have this business. We're doing, we really appreciate your order. So I just wanted to make sure everything was great. And he's like, oh yeah, thanks for calling me. Who the hell does that, by the way? You know what I'm saying? Nobody ever does that. Has anybody ever called you after you ordered some food?
No.
Would you like that?
I would like it if I was happy, and I would like it if I was happy and unhappy.
You would like it either way.
Yeah. I mean, you have to humble yourself quite a bit to do it. I mean, I've gone in restaurants where like the manager will come around or the business owner will come around and ask people how they're doing. That's about the closest to what you're explaining.
Yeah. But so you got to have all the automation in place, right? And on top of it, if you have the customer, the owner or the manager who's not afraid to confront the customer, even if they're not happy, it's a home run. So
turn a bad experience into
go ahead. What'd you say?
I said you can turn a bad experience into a good one. You can flip a customer. You can encourage them to do other things.
Definitely.
You're a first time order. Definitely on first time orders. You know what I mean? So like one of the things you were talking about is, so you can make automation to identify these people easy, right? Like first time orders, they might get a thing. You get a notification on your phone that says, hey, this person just placed their first order. Call them. You tap your phone calls them. Hey, it's John. I was just calling to see how your pizza was. Oh, it was great. Thanks. Okay, cool. Well, how about this? Because you had such a good experience, we'd love it if you could take a minute to tell other people what your experience is like on Yelp. Do you have a Yelp account or whatever the fuck it is? Hey, we like to do a birthday promotion. Every year you get a free blankety blank on your birthday. Is that something, let me get your birthday real quick. And you could just pick up their other ancillary details about your customers that you would otherwise not have the ability to do.
Or yeah, something like that. Exactly. Or send them a text about an hour or 45 minutes later. It's like, hey, my name is John and I'm the owner of Papa Ray's Pizza or Joe's Pizza. I hate to bother you. I just wanted to make sure you loved your order. And if you did, great. Could you leave me a review? If not, this is my cell phone. Shoot me a call. I'd love to talk to you about what happened and try and accommodate you. Oh, man, that would be awesome, bro. That would be amazing.
That would be, that's a doable thing. I mean, like you have to, like I said, there's text messaging rules that you have to follow, but
if it's coming from an owner, if it's a one-off, I don't think that they can stop that.
They can't.
Yeah. So it's a one-off. I'm not mass texting anybody.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm. Yeah. I mean, you basically get that type of thing going. Now, like, I think the summary, like if you summarize what it is that you need to make it easier, because like money loves speed, right? And like the easier and faster you can make something happen, the better, right? So like one of the things that I think Domino's started doing this first. They have their little meter about, hey, your pizza's going into the oven. Hey, your fucking pizza's getting cut. Your pizza's going, because they have all their stations broken down. They have a computer at each station, like
the bump bar. When you click the bump bar, it goes to a different station.
Yeah, and then they're just using that information to facilitate that online mode, online animation or whatever it is, or their app, and they got it all tied together. And it'd be very expensive to do it if you were just one guy with a POS system that didn't have that type of functionality built in. But like if you wanted to build an experience that's similar, because like I don't give a shit if my pizza hasn't, it's nice to know that my pizza was made, but really all I care about is that my pizza's out for delivery and I should expect it soon, right? That would be the only other. That's where dispatching the drivers or whatever. And I think about that. If I were to get a text message or I don't want to say in-app notification, because like having an app for your business is kind of, unless it's automatic and it's good, nobody's going to use it, right?
Well, it's real estate space. Nobody wants to use the real estate space for one pizzeria.
I don't want to have another app on my phone.
Yeah, we're trying to get rid of apps, not add more.
Yeah. So it needs to be a web experience and a text message.
So, how hard would it be to build the app where, or it probably already exists, you just can license it, I guess, where they can track the driver when the driver leaves with your order?
Well, you're better. So like instead of building an app that does that, it's better to find a software that does that. Right?
Yeah, license it or whatever.
And then hook it up to your tool. So like some of the people that are already doing that well are like plumbers, HVAC contractors, exterminators, like those types of guys, where they're going to have a route, right? And then like you, the business owner, you're providing the car, the vehicle that they're in. They got your tools in their truck, that kind of shit. You're using GPS tracking to, not spy, but monitor your people. Mm-hmm. And then that can be extended to, from a customer service perspective. Hey, so-and-so's coming. This is where they're at. You can look at it, right? So it would be easier to find something else that already does what you want. But the problem is that that's kind of, it's industry specialized, I would say, where obviously it makes sense in your business. But like if somebody hasn't bitten the bullet to provide that level of functionality, then it's probably far and few between.
Wow. Well, I think that we've got a lot covered on the pizza aspect. So I'd like to end the podcast on that note, and then we'll end that podcast, and then we'll talk about always direct mail right after that. Does that sound good?
Sounds good, man.
All right. Well, listen, you've been very informative. I mean, for anybody who owns a restaurant, automation is mandatory because when you're wearing 40 hats, you really can't keep track of everything. So if you have any questions, email me at sales@alwaysdirectmail.com. And you can email. Well, can you give your email address out or your
I just want to preface this. It's been a long time since I worked with anyone with a POS system, so I'm not familiar with all the POS tools out there, but I'm willing to give it a look if you're curious. But my email address is kelsey@hiredgunsolutions.com. That's KELSEY @hiredgunsolutions.com. So singular gun, plural solutions.
I love it. Thanks for giving us the time, and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Always Direct podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.